Hi team, hope everyone's well. Just coming back to you with a ride review on the Seaside, so a bit of a part two to my reviews. I usually leave it a wee while before I come back so I can ride it quite a few times, but we've had quite a spread of surf over the last couple of days, and I think I've got a pretty good feel for the board, so thought I'd come back now whilst all that's fresh in my head. So as I discussed in the review, the first day was kind of junky, kind of sectiony, but the waves had a little bit of push to them. It was onshore, so they're folding over. They petered out a bit further down the line, but I definitely got quite a couple of like solid takeoffs. And then yesterday we were lucky enough that we got offshore waves, and it was quite peaky and a nice shape and small when I first started out, and then that sort of picked up to being a bit bigger and not quite as clean and not quite as nice walls. So I reckon I've had a pretty good spread of surf. So yeah, as I said, the very first thing is this board paddles really good. Like, it paddles really good. I think it feels like it paddles a litre more than it actually is. Because a lot of this volume, as we've gone through in the review, a lot of this volume's sitting up in your chest that's really under here, and it's still a wide board, so it's got the stability and it's got the paddle power, and then this tail being thin, it's just really helping it out with a bit of extra grip and a bit of extra manoeuvrability, along with the double concaves underneath, because the double concaves are extremely aggressive, as I showed you. So as you can see from the boards, the rock is fairly flat. There's not masses of rocker in the nose, and there's not masses in the tail. So yeah, they've just all adds to how well it paddles. And one thing I'm going to say straight away, because I was kind of like, people have been asking questions as well, and I kind of been I've had a bit of a think about it, and I'm thinking, my thoughts are, this board is a fish with a lot of really high performance features in it, and it's a high performance fish, but its main characteristics are fish. So you'll see, like, some people say, so you know, it's a performance board, but as I say, it's a fish with a lot of performance features. I wouldn't consider it a performance board with fishy features. So I think that's the main difference between something like this and something like the Psycho Nitro or something similar to that. You know, you're talking about two boards. You're talking about one board where it's basically taken from being a fairly performance small wave board, like something like the JS Psycho Nitro, and then that's had some fish features put into it to give it some extra speed and glide, and then this is a fish that's had some performance features put into it. So it's the overlying feel is fish. So if you hear how well it performs, which it really does, the sort of size you can ride it in, which is quite surprising for a fish, I think the important thing is, in the size I'm riding, the important thing is don't expect it to feel like a short board, because I see a few people sort of coming back and saying, oh, it's not like a high performance board. Well, it's not meant to be a high performance board. It's a performance fish, but you know, the width's there, and I was kind of thinking about it, and I was thinking, you know, this is exactly what it was designed to be. It's what Rob intended it to be. He's talking about it being an evolution of the Go Fish. Now, the Go Fish was quite a high performance version of a twin fin with some high performance features and a nice fin tail, and you could ride it a little bit up in size from what you thought and all the rest of it. And this is kind of like that, but they've pushed the width out. So you've got to me, you've got the stability, you've got the speed, and it'll maneuver really well. It's very responsive. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it so far. And the same with the wave range. I'm kind of thinking, will it grovel? Yeah, it'll grovel. And will it ride in overhead waves? Yeah, it'll ride in overhead waves. That's the kind of, at a pinch, and it will. But it's not it will excel in. As one of the boards, as a one board quiver for most of the waves you're going to find, is really impressive, and it will handle. I think it was going fine for me in a couple of waves that were like sort of waist to chest high, but they were peaky and peeling well, and then it still held on in waves that were like, you know, head high and a bit over, and rolling over quite quickly for me. So So yeah, I would say like it's ideal range. Like for me personally, I've got the Lost Beanbag. That's my groveler. That's a proper groveler. That is a grovel board. This board, when would I aim to take it out? I would aim to take it out when it was ranging from probably chest high to head high, and I knew the wave was quite nice and quite clean and had a bit of push. Will it work in under chest high, under waist high? Yes, definitely. So if you get out there and it's not as good as you thought, it's still going to go good. And will it work in a bit overhead and maybe a bit more? Yes, if it's a point break and it's a rolly wave, it will definitely handle that as well. So I guess the underlying factor is there would be slightly better boards at either end. You know, your performance board's going to be slightly better at performing, and the groveler's going to be slightly better at groveling, but this board is absolutely really good. It paddles incredible. It's got the speed, it's got the glide, it's got all those elements of a fish you really like. You know, and don't expect it to. Like I had a couple of times where I was coming to the end of my ride and I kind of like overweighted the back, and it still wants to go. It still wants to just like slide on. Whereas if you had a board that was like a performance board, you know, you'd lean on the back of it and it'd just like, woo, that'd be it, speed would be gone and it'd be game over. But yeah, this thing still wants to go. So yeah, paddle's great. It's got more hold than most fish. It's got more range than most fish. And it surfs really well. It's very responsive. Like, this is a really wide board in my size. This is the 511 and it's 22 3/4 wide, so that's quite a wide board. It's like, it's stable, it paddles great. I could ride the size under this, which is surprising because I was worried about the volume. I was like, oh, 41's low in my... I've lost a bit of weight recently, but I was like, yeah, I was quite worried about that. So yeah, what I would say for me personally, I tried the Machado fins. This was actually the day it was a bit bigger, so probably should have tried them again when it was a bit smaller, but I found them good, but they were a bit slippery. I think the Machado fin for me feels a little bit more like a twin with two stabilizers, and I'm very used to the keel, so the split keel. So I put the split keel in and it felt a lot more familiar, and I felt a bit more confident, and I could put a lot more weight into my turns and my bottom turn when I was pulling in than I could on the Machado. So yeah, if you've got a slightly smaller board or you're riding it a bit down in volume, I really think and you're a bit lighter, you probably really like the Machados. And I keep saying the Machado fins really suit the design because the tail pulls in, the tail fins out, and the fin set's basically the same. The front fins are like big 20s, and the back fins are just designed to be like they're almost like little double mini keel stabilizers. So, and they're very fun. I've tried them in a few things and they're great. So, you know, certainly don't be put off trying them, but if you try them and you're a bigger guy and you're on a bigger board and you're like, ooh, it's a bit slippy for me, you probably go to the split keels, because it's just it's a different way of spreading the area. You know, this has got a lot of these split keels have got a lot of brake, and it puts a lot of area back on the tail, and it gives you a lot more grip. So, but the Machados are still very fast and drivey, so that's another thing that's quite cool. They're very fast, but they're still free at the back. So yeah, that is probably about it. Let's say double concave is working really well. Could it perform like a performance board? Well, it probably, it paddles so well that if you dropped another size, you'd probably find it's even grippier and even more maneuverable, and probably handles an even bigger wave. But you know, for most people, that rail line's still not super long. So yeah, and people were asking me like, where does it fit in your quiver? And I would say, for me personally, it sits between the groveler and basically it'd be a performance hybrid, because that's all I ride. I don't ride a performance board, I just ride a performance hybrid. So I would go like beanbag, and then probably to something like this, and then if it was really peaky or I was going somewhere else where I know the wave's a bit more push, I would be going for something like the Quiver Killer or the Psycho Killer, you know, whatever you guys have got, your cymatics or your, you know, whatever you've got at your larger end of wave. So yeah, but this is a cracking board. It'll handle most stuff. If you're going on a surf trip in average wave, like say you were going around New Zealand and you were expecting it to be not really pushing overhead high much, and probably could get down to quite small, could almost be a one board quiver, but there's other boards that are quite good at that as well. So, but this has got like a really different feel. It's really exciting. I really enjoyed riding it, and you know, I'm hearing comments as well, and it's like, yeah, I know there's a lot of hype about the board, and you know, and it's been well marketed, to be fair, and Rob's not got many accolades for his previous shapes, which are absolutely amazing, and the last 2 or 3 have really come up, and people are really getting pumped about them. So I think the thing to remember as well is this is a board that's like, you know, okay, it's an older design, but it's a really good spin on the fish. Like you know, one guy was saying, oh, it's an old design, and Rob's passed it and all the rest of it, and I was like, it's kind of funny, because it's like, yeah, that's all right, but you can say that about every short board, long board, and every other board from the 80s. They're all spins on something that's been done, but I really think this is giving you something extra and something special, but it's still got a fishy feel. You know, it's nothing like a super flat twin pin retro, and it's not like a short board with a swallowtail that someone decides to call a fish either. So I think this is quite special. This is the fish experience still, you know. This board is the fish experience, and it's the high performance end of it, and it's super fun, and the construction's great, and the ride's great, and it's just a different and exciting ride, and it's a standout board as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, if you want to try one, you can get one on a demo, give one a go, and if you're pretty sold on it, just go out and buy one. I don't think you'll be disappointed, to be honest. I really don't. So yeah, that is my rant and ramble for today. I hope you guys enjoy that, and as I say, the key take homes from this board for me have been, it's a really good paddler. It'll probably handle a bit more size than you'd expect from a fish for sure, and it will still go in the smaller stuff, and probably even smaller than I thought, because I didn't think it'd grovel for here, because groveling's really grovel and you're in longboard territory here. So I've just been having a ball on it, and it's not been hard to serve. It's stable, it's fast, it's easy. It's the more you get used to it, the more I think you can really perform on it. Like I was quite surprised in a few places. So yeah, alright, thanks for watching, guys, and please like and subscribe if you like what you see, because more people will get to see it then, I'll push it up further. So yeah, thank you very much.